Good evening, everybody, and welcome to this special Wednesday night.
You got to come up with a different word than special.
It's special. You know why?
It's special.
Because we're together.
Oh, aren't you a sweetie? Okay, I'm sorry. I interrupted your intro. Go ahead.
Welcome to this very special Wednesday edition of the BURKE Brigade, brought to you by the Liberty Daily.
Your conservative alternative to the Drudge Report.
Go to thelibertydaily.com.
thelibertydaily.com.
You will not be sorry. Growing in leaps and bounds. Yesterday, another record traffic day at the Liberty Daily. The traffic has literally tripled, more than tripled, in the last 2 months.
Thank y'all.
Thank y'all, and that's without any dependence on Facebook. It's all direct traffic, and
all
it's
word
all
of mouth.
because of our great supporters who spread the word of the Liberty Daily on social media and in comment section. It's all organic traffic. So from us here at the Liberty Daily and the BURKE Brigade, we thank you so much for your support. Okay. We're going to start off here by talking about, we hit on this last night really hard. It just happened. Let's see, what time is it? It's 8:07 here on, that's Pacific time, on Wednesday evening. And last night we had done the podcast, and 10 Commandments judge Roy Moore had just decimated, by a 10-point margin, McConnell stooge, establishment stooge,
Luther the Strange.
Luther, the big loser Strange, who was sadly and mistakenly endorsed by President Donald Trump.
Yep.
So there's this talk show host out of Virginia, John Fredericks, and he's got some commentary on this election that is spot on. So we're going to play that, but before we do, here is Donald Trump's sort of lukewarm endorsement of of Luther Strange. This was last Friday.
Right. This is at a rally that when the Trump people got the word out about the rally, they did not describe it as a rally for Luther Strange.
Right. So they were kind of trying to split the baby here, because the polls were all right. They all, on average, showed Moore winning by about 10 points, and that's exactly what happened. So here's President Trump on Friday, and then followed by this is John Fredericks on talking with Carol Costello on Headline News.
I've made a mistake because, here's the story. If Luther doesn't win, they're not going to say we picked up 25 points in a very short period of time. They're going to say Donald Trump, the President of the United States, was unable to pull his candidate across the line. It is a terrible, terrible moment for Trump. This is total embarrassment.
Okay, so I guess he was right, because that's what the media is saying. With me now, conservative doctors John Fredericks and Steve Deace. Welcome. So, John, your thoughts, because I know you're fired up over this topic.
Well, I'm in Montgomery. I've been here all week, and I got to tell you, Carol, this is a transformational election because the plug just got pulled out of the swamp. The establishment Republicans and Mitch McConnell, they spent $34 million. They spent $170 per vote and got their clocks cleaned. Last night was the night the lights went out on Fifth Avenue. It's the night that the movement transcends its current leader. Remember when President Trump as a candidate said, I could go on Fifth Avenue and shoot somebody and my base would still be with me. But what he found out when he got up today, not so much. Not true. That's a myth. He went to bed thinking, I still manage my base. He got up today embarrassed, realizing the base now manages him. This is the tip of the iceberg. This was a rejection of the status quo, donor-driven Republican country club, Wall Street, gangster, bankster, donor politics that is over. And you're going to see these kind of primary challenges, Carol, all over the place. It's the crack up of the GOP, and it's going to start.
Oh, I gotta bring Steve in because my hair's starting to catch fire.
Okay, Steve Deace is great too, but we would normally play him, but we're going to be short on time today.
Oh, and I want to point out, I don't know if you heard, honey, he said Montgomery, so he's in Alabama.
But his talk show host is in Virginia. He might have just been there visiting.
Oh, maybe he was there visiting.
Yeah.
Because he is in Montgomery.
Huh. Unless he just moved there. I don't know. I looked him up online and it said he was out of Virginia. But anyway, he made some great comments there. And the one thing is that Trump overestimated the power he has over his base. And the theory is that the base actually controls Trump, which is not true. Like we were told by a former employee of Donald Trump's, nobody controls Donald Trump. But it does show that his influence over his base is not as strong as he thought it was. And that when Trump endorses a establishment stooge, the base isn't going to go along with that.
Right.
They're not stupid.
Especially an establishment stooge that had the blessing of Obama's Mitch McConnell.
Right. I mean, that's a kiss of death. McConnell's approval rating is 12%. I mean, there are diseases with higher approval ratings. Right? And most of them itch. So, and that's what Judge Roy Moore did. I mean, number one, he's a legend there.
Right.
But number two, he ran against McConnell, who people see as the poster boy for the corrupt, cronyist establishment.
Yep.
And by the way, he is.
He is.
Hashtag ditch Mitch.
Turtle.
Okay, we're gonna shift. No, we're not gonna shift. We're gonna segue into. He's not the John Fredericks is not the only one talking about Donald Trump being embarrassed. So there's a plethora of reports out there, and now this is from Breitbart actually, and they're reporting that Trump was embarrassed and quote pissed.
Well, didn't he delete some of his tweets?
Yes.
Supporting Strange?
Yes, he deleted his tweets apparently that were in support of Luther Strange. And how often have you seen Donald Trump delete a tweet? It's rare.
Only when there was a misspelling.
Right.
And what's interesting...
But he never goes back and admits when he's wrong. Very, 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 very rarely.
And what's interesting is that Decision Desk just said the night before how long it would take Donald Trump to act like he never endorsed him.
Right. So that is pretty interesting. But so here it is. Breitbart reports Trump embarrassed and pissed by Strange endorsement mistake, especially upset at Bannon's role in the Moore victory. So there are multiple reports I'm reading here. Wednesday cited White House sources claiming President Donald Trump is, quote, embarrassed over the outcome of Tuesday's Alabama U.S. Senate election and understands he made a mistake in endorsing, along with Chamber of Commerce and Republican leadership, Luther Strange over Judge Roy Moore. Now, there was another report floating around today that Trump was also ticked off at his son-in-law, liberal Democrat globalist Jared Kushner, who is one of Trump's top advisors. Now, why you would have a Democrat giving you advice, a globalist cuck that you ran against during the GOP primary and the general election, why you would be getting advice. I mean, maybe he's the greatest son-in-law in the world, but why you would get political advice from somebody like that?
Telling.
That apparently was supposed to be, I never believed it.
Nope.
Opposite of your beliefs. I have no idea. But apparently, according to the reports, Jared Kushner was one of the main ones that pushed President Trump to endorse establishment McConnell stooge Luther the Strange. And he did. Now, speaking of Steve Bannon, by the way, Steve Bannon shouldn't be seen as going rogue here, or he's the head of Breitbart that what was in the White House. He shouldn't be seen as being disloyal to Trump here. I want to make that clear. He shouldn't be seen as going rogue because Trump's base was for Roy Moore. Trump's voters were for Roy Moore. Big time.
Bigly.
The most loyal. Sean Hannity. You can't get any more.
Sean Hannity, Sarah Palin,
Sebastian Gorka, Steve Bannon. You name it.
Ben Carson.
Yeah, they were all in support of Judge Roy Moore. You hear our dogs playing in the background. You have to forgive us there.
We're real, folks.
Yeah,
We're
it's
real.
like a reality show here on the BURKE Brigade. Yeah, so where was I? So that's the deal. But Bannon, he is kind of gloating today,
and he spoke at Judge Roy Moore's victory party, right?
Right. He sure did. But he said the people in these special elections, the people are 6-0 since Trump got elected. Trump is 5-1. Dig. In other words, you're on the wrong side.
You're on the wrong side of the religious liberty debate too, dude.
Right? So, good for Judge Roy Moore, who thanked the Almighty God, credited the
Amen,
Almighty
brother.
God. What every red-blooded American used to do in this country before we went into this Marxist, cultural Marxist hellhole.
Speaking of that, I know this is not having to do with Roy Moore, but since you talked about cultural Marxism and how people used to thank God, I remember when the award shows, back when I used to watch them decades ago, when these entertainers would get up there and the first thing many of them said was, thanks to God. Some kind of thanks to God. And now it's, let's attack Republicans.
Yeah, you really see that now. Now they're up there basically thanking Satan. They're very close to it. Okay. Of course, the NFL is still in the news. The NFL, which is soon becoming, hat tip Michelle Malkin, the No Fan League. And there's major flag sitter fallout. Major flag sitter fallout. Number one, a couple of stories here. There is a beer distributor. Why won't this come up? Here, I'm going to switch. We'll switch to this one instead. America's oldest suit maker pulls its ads from the NFL. The CEO blasts the league's unpatriotic behavior. This is on one of our sites, thepolitistic.com. Hardwick Clothing, America's oldest suit maker, announced that they are yanking commercials during NFL games after players either divisively sat or cowardly hid in the locker room to avoid making a political statement, even though the national anthem has nothing to do with politics. That's yours truly writing. That's pretty good.
It's honey, it's beyond good. It's brilliant.
Here's what the owner said, Alan Jones, Allan, and he also has these other companies too. So just not to be confused, the guy's a major entrepreneur. Effective immediately, please remove all commercials for check into cash, buy here, pay here USA, or U.S. money shops from airing during NFL games this entire season, the CEO of Hardwick, Alan Jones, said in a statement to the Tombras, or T-O-M-B-R-A-S, Tombras, I don't know what the hell it is, group, which is an ad agency, quote, our companies will not condone in any form the unpatriotic behavior demonstrated by the NFL. Can I hear an amen?
Amen.
Now, all the Goodell, Roger Goodell, NFL commissioner, and cop-hating, Castro, communist-loving, mediocre, unemployed quarterback, Colin Kaepernick, who you call Kaepernick, he hold on. Why won't this come up? It's driving me absolutely nuts. Stop the hammering! Stop the
hammering!
Every time I get stuck now, can I just say stop the hammering? Would that be okay? So that's one. And he said, this guy really lit it up. So here's him talking. When I see Colin Kaepernick lecturing the, quote, oppressed, wearing a Fidel Castro t-shirt, you realize the hypocrisy of this stupidity. I love America. They have the right to protest, and I have the right to turn off the channel and place our ads elsewhere.
Amen.
Kaboom!
That's right. These lefties want to act like, everyone should everyone should just support these quote-unquote protests, which are actually just insults to America. And if you don't, you're a racist. Because, as Hillary Clinton pointed out, this is all about black athletes, even though Donald Trump said nothing about the color of an athlete's skin. But of course, as I read last night, a post from a friend of mine, the left wastes no opportunity. They never let a crisis go to waste.
Right.
And they're using this to try to, once again, victimize black people, make black people feel like victims.
So they'll vote Democrat.
Whose lives are beyond their control. And to manipulate them.
Right.
To manipulate them.
That's exactly what's going on. He said, this is the head dude at Hardwick Clothing, America's oldest suit maker, who's pulling their ads from the NFL. So he goes, the next time someone asks the public to finance a stadium, this will have a very long-term effect. And there's already...
and it should.
There's already talk about... I saw there was a legislator who is going to introduce a bill that would make subsidizing the NFL illegal.
Right. Who wants it? Taxpayers aren't going to want their money to go to these to these teams whose owners could put a stop to this anti-America propaganda being put on display.
Right.
And not only put on display in the stadium, but as I said last night as well, ESPN typically doesn't show the national anthem during Monday Night Football, but this week they chose to, because they didn't want to zoom the cameras in to see the flag sitters.
Right.
And it's not just, are you going to go into details about some other people who are canceling?
Depending on time. Go ahead.
Well, I was going to add that I wanted to say two things. Number one, DirecTV/AT&T, because AT&T bought them a while ago, is offering refunds to any...
Well, not offering. Customers are demanding
They're
refunds.
giving them. Well, they got to the point where now there's news. If you want a refund, you can call, because people typically, once you get NFL Sunday Ticket...
Non-refundable.
It's non-refundable. At least, what you've paid thus far. Most people pay for it in installments. But I've read that they've given full refunds to customers who have called in angry over these protests. So there was an article in USA Today about how what's going on in the NFL is just having a ripple effect to other businesses. Now, DirecTV/AT&T does not disclose their subscribers to NFL Sunday Ticket, but it's been estimated that it's probably 10%. So we'll probably never know how many people are unsubscribing, demanding a refund. But I wanted to read this as well, posted from a friend of ours, who said she was listening to Sean Hannity's show earlier, and an NFL ticket sales office associate called in. He stated that after a winning game, which the team he works for did win on Sunday, they usually have a ton of sales the following day. Yesterday and today, he states, he didn't sell one ticket. He took hundreds of complaints from those who have already bought tickets wanting their money back, and season ticket holders have attorneys scouring through their contracts to get them out of them. The people are responding, this is the free market at work, and she added that he had been told, or they had been told, not to disclose this information to anybody. But He's not selling tickets. People are calling in wanting refunds on their tickets. And
that's ultimately the way to hit them, too. Yep. So there was a beer distributor in Louisiana that is also veteran owned, that is also boycotting the NFL. And dadgummit, let me find it here. Oh, I know. While I'm doing this, shift gears for just a minute. Let's provide a little Moochelle. Moochelle Obama has declared war on women.
She's opening her big fat mouth because
you're racist.
She is gearing up to run for something. She's gearing up to run for something, and I would not doubt that the Democrats would try to run this inexperienced idiot for president. The only job she's ever held were ones that were given to her. She had 6-figure jobs created for her in the corrupt cesspool of Illinois.
Right.
And suddenly no one had to be in this position once her husband became a U.S. senator and had to and they moved to Washington, D.C. I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous. But talk about identity politics. The left has not learned. You know, Michelle Obama, I guess she thinks that she has the authority to not only tell people what they should eat while she's stuffing her big fat mouth with a big juicy burger, or you know, what they should drink while her husband is having beer summits and going on beer tours. Remember at that time taking a picture of himself? Oh, I'm Irish. Look at me drinking with the Irish. Oh, I'm this. Look at me drinking with these people.
Yeah,
just
freaking first gay president.
Or, you know, talking to people about sacrifice, and at one point you've made too much money while they're going around the world with their rich and famous and powerful friends, you know, on vacation after vacation, not only on the taxpayer dollar, on the taxpayer dime when Obama was in office, but even now.
Right.
Even now.
Oh, yeah.
Going to these remote, exotic
At some point
locations.
You've made enough money, except if you're us. Okay,
so
but
hold on. But she said...
Tell us about her war on women.
Yes. She said, basically, you know, Democrats love to tell people how they should think, and especially how they should vote. So she said in an interview with Boston.com, any woman who voted against Hillary Clinton voted against their own voice. Because, you know, Hillary Clinton, I guess, speaks for all women. I doubt Hillary Clinton, who believes in the murder of unborn black and brown children in the womb, who bows before the progressive god of baby butcher Margaret Sanger, whose goal in life was to do away with people like you, Michelle Obama. If Sanger and Hillary Clinton had their way, you wouldn't even exist to this day.
She referred to
been killed
as human weeds.
Yes, so she referred to as human weeds.
Hillary Clinton's idol.
So she went on to suggest that female voters for Trump were just going with the pack. You know, you don't think. If you don't vote Democrat, according to Michelle Obama, you just didn't think clearly. Shut the hell up. Go crawl back under your rock so we don't have to see your stupid, ugly face anymore.
Oh my God, you're such a racist. Yeah, Moochelle, you're perfectly fine when they're going in your pack, but just not okay when they leave your plantation.
What percentage of black people voted for Obama?
Over 95.
Yeah, you're fine with that, Michelle.
Yeah,
fine. That's okay. That's not voting without thinking.
Because if you're
and even the second time in 2012, when black people were faring far worse under Obama than they had under white presidents, they still voted for your black you-know-what.
Because
your husband's half black you-know-what.
If you have a vagina, according to the Democrat Party, you are only allowed to think a certain way.
Right. Or
you must be a victim.
If you have a certain amount of pigmentation in your skin.
Right. Then you're a victim.
You know, check the Obama's website to see how you're supposed to think.
Or if you're a pervert or a sexual deviant, you're a victim, and therefore vote for us forever so we can pander to you and we will have power.
Right.
And money.
Why don't you go spend your time ruining the school lunches at your daughter's expensive school where they have an executive chef that prepares gourmet meals? Why don't you have them eat the slop that you put out for the rest of America's children?
Cardboard pizza, anybody? Okay, I've found.
I was just a little bit intense over that segment.
Huh? I don't know. She's probably held this back. I don't know if you guys can tell this, but my beautiful wife, who is black.
I am black.
blacker than Barry Obama. She's not a big fan of Moochelle.
No.
Just not a fan. I mean, I don't. Maybe you weren't clear about that, but to me, it's clear. Okay, so here's a press release from Schilling Distributing Company, which is out of Louisiana. Schilling Distributing Company has made the decision to pull all Bud Light point-of-sale material featuring the NFL and New Orleans Saints marks following last weekend's national anthem protests. Schilling has been locally veteran-owned through 3 generations since 1950, and it strongly supports our nation's flag and law enforcement. Schilling believes that while everyone has a right to peacefully protest, they actually don't during an NFL game. If the owners want to make them not protest, guess what? They're not going to protest.
Yeah.
Just like, you can't do certain, touchdown dances, just like you can't flip off the referee. I mean, there's all kinds of codes of conduct that they don't allow, like when RG3 wore a Christian t-shirt that said, "No Jesus, no peace," and they made him turn it inside out. Whereas, communist Colin Kaepernick can wear his "I love Fidel Castro" t-shirt.
And cops are pig socks.
And that's somehow allowed.
A-okay.
Because if you hate on America, that's good. If you're a Marxist pig, speaking of pigs, that's totally allowed. So, he said Schilling believes that while everyone has a right to peacefully protest, doing so at the expense of our national anthem is not an appropriate way to go about it. That is right. Even if your message was just, which it is not just, you're going about it the wrong way. You're doing it wrong.
You're doing it wrong.
You're doing it wrong. You can't say you're not crapping on the national flag when you're protesting the national flag and the national anthem. You're coming across as lunatics. This is backfiring big time on the NFL. I mean, Rush Limbaugh said he shut off the TV after 45 years, and for me, it's been at least that long too. And we shut it off on Sunday. We couldn't stand it. When the Seahawks were playing the Titans and they both cowardly tucked their tail between their legs and refused to get off their asses and come out of the locker room and support the flag, the unifying flag.
Yep.
That is the unifying symbol that all Americans until this year could support.
Right.
Now all of a sudden it's political.
This is Obama's legacy right here. I mean, I grew up, yes, I'm a woman, but I grew up watching football. I'm from Texas, for goodness sake. I grew up watching football every Sunday afternoon, when Monday Night Football, was there on Monday evenings. My family were together in the living room watching football. I'm from Texas, where football is king. My best friend would call me on Sundays once I moved out of the state, and she'd ask me what I'm doing, and I was like, "It's Sunday. You know what I'm doing. Sunday. Of course. I'm watching football.
Go to church, you watch football.
So
football, family, faith.
Exactly.
Not necessarily in that order.
And when we heard that our beloved Seahawks, once beloved Seahawks, refused to even be on the field during the national anthem, I looked at Matthew and I said, "Switch the channel.
Yep.
I'm done. They could go out on the field next week. I don't give a flip. I'm done. They're dead to me. I'm done."
Yep. I heard Rush Limbaugh's statement, and he says, the magic is gone. Mm-hmm. The mystique is gone. Mm-hmm. The reverence, the respect.
I hope it dries up, and these idiot football players lose their contracts, the league folds, and they lose everything.
And we'll see him flinging nuggets at McDonald's,
begging
which is
for
what
$15
most of them
an hour
would qualify for, if it weren't for the fact that they were blessed by God as incredible athletes.
And given the opportunity in this great country of ours to make millions of dollars for playing football.
For playing a kid's game.
And, some of them rail against capitalism, too. Look, I was about to say a bad word. Your butt would be sitting on the couch playing video games in your mama's house, yelling at your sister to answer the door if you hadn't been given the opportunity to make millions because of capitalism.
Right. Let me ask you a question, NFL. This is for you too, Kaepernick. Why in the hell do we have a problem with illegal immigration if this country is so racist? Do you think people are coming to this country so they can be hunted down as police officers? They're coming here because this is the least racist country in human history. Period. The country that ended racism didn't invent it. You want to protest slavery that happened 150 years ago? Go into some of these Middle Eastern Muslim countries where it's still the way of
legal to own a slave.
Yes.
Yes. You want to call yourself...
Go protest that.
You want to call yourself a slave because you paid $5 million to catch a ball? Shut the hell up.
Well, in his case, throw a ball. And he didn't throw it very well, which is one of the reasons, not all, one of the reasons why he's not employed. Okay. Turning to commies. There is a communist West Point graduate. His name is Second Lieutenant Spencer with a S. S-P-E-N-S-E-R. Rapone or Rapone, R-A-P-O-N-E. And he was caught recently wearing... he's a Colin Kaepernick supporter, by the way. Isn't that interesting? He's an admitted communist, and one of the people that inspired him was Colin Kaepernick. Now we're going to get to the commie here in a minute. The West Point commie who admitted he infiltrated West Point to go into the military, and we're going to say the other person here who inspired him in just a minute. But I just want to remind the audience, because you're getting all of these progressive propagandists who are losing on this issue, and now they're trying to move the goalposts. You see what I did there? Move the goalposts?
I see it, babe.
Okay, they're trying to move the goalposts because they're saying it's not about the anthem. It's not about the flag.
Except they forget that this all started with Colin Kaepernick said, "I will not stand for a flag that represents oppression of black people." This is how it all started.
You took the wind out of my sails.
Oh, I'm sorry. You know I get riled up over it.
August 28th, 2016. Here's where it began. So here's Kaepernick telling NFL media, quote, "I am not going to stand up to show pride in a flag for a country that oppresses black people and people of color." So there you have it.
There you have it. It's all about
it is the flag.
It's about
the country.
a hatred of the country,
this country
that gave them opportunities beyond the imagination.
He hates his country. He loves Fidel Castro. He hates the police. That's who he is.
He hates the police, but he loves, what's his name? Fidel Castro's butcher?
Huh?
Fidel Castro's Che Guevara.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that is their dear leader. That is who this mediocre quarterback with mediocre stats, who was on the decline even though he should be in his prime, because he's more concerned with pressing communist propaganda than he is at perfecting his craft that he was gifted to, on some level to play. It started with him, and it started with that. And they are not allowed now to recreate this movement in the same way that they recreated, global warming, which has been debunked, and now it's just climate change, so every time the wind blows, they can blame it on it. No, you don't get to do that. Nope. We're going to grind you. We're going to pound you with this. We're going to make you eat it like a dog returning to its vomit until you choke on it and suck to death. Because this is the truth. This is your movement. So, Pete Carroll, get the off TV.
It's difficult.
We don't have a beat button.
We're trying to catch ourselves. We're not talking to each other in the living room.
And quit saying it's not about the flag when freaking Colin Kaepernick said it's about the flag.
It is about the flag. It's about the flag and a hatred of America. That was Colin Kaepernick's message.
And it's about...
Remember the scowling look on his face?
Oh, yeah.
Sitting down, looking all angry. Let me remind Crappy. Crappy Kaepernick, that he had a shot in the NFL because of his white high school coach. No college was even looking at him, and his white high school coach put together a reel tape of some of his highlights and helped him get a scholarship to UNLV.
Right. And then he got, he was drafted in the second round. He sat the first year, because the 49ers had Alex Smith. They traded Alex Smith.
After Smith got hurt. And did Smith get hurt, or did he have a couple of bad games?
I don't recall. But anyway.
Second year, right?
Yep. Kaepernick was a quarterback. He had a really good year.
Great second year.
Hell of a running quarterback.
Second year in the league. And then it's been all downhill from then.
It's been
just been a train wreck. You would watch him throw, and you're like,
he throws like a.
Who the heck was he throwing that ball to?
He throws like a girl.
Because none of his players are in that vicinity. But Black Lives Matter idiots want to lean on the league to sign him. Oh, he deserves a contract. You know what? Pull your money together, buy a team, and give him one, and then see, and then let's see if people go to the game.
And call it the Social Justice Football League, and have Fidel Castro as your logo, or Che Guevara, whatever his damn name is. So it's interesting now. This West Point commie that put pictures of himself on social media with I don't know why I can't say his name tonight. Che Guevara T-shirt under his uniform.
Are you serious?
Oh yeah, you didn't see that?
I saw the one with his. Did you talk about what was in his hat?
Oh, and I was going to get to that. Go ahead.
In his hat, he has a picture, and there's some other West Point grads behind him. They don't know what he's showing.
Right.
But there's a picture. It says, "Communism will win."
Communism will win.
And this guy just graduated from West Point.
So you can sit
Sounds
there.
to me like an ISIS recruit in the making.
You can sit there and tell me, "Oh, Colin Kaepernick's not a communist." Why in the hell then is he praising Fidel Castro?
Right.
Why is he wearing T-shirts of Fidel Castro? Because here's why. Social justice is code word for communism.
Yep.
That's all it is. You try to get one of these people to denounce communism. They won't be able to do it.
Won't do it.
You show them, here are the 10 premises, the 10 principles of Karl Marx's Communist Manifesto. Which of these do you disagree with? And you know what the answer will be? None.
And think about it. Who has the left attacked, insulted, ridiculed more frequently? Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, or the Castro brothers, or Nicolas Maduro?
Right. And good for President Trump. I see him recently bashing communism, bashing socialism. It's been a while since we've had a president that actually did that. So, we bashed Trump too. Especially for this endorsement of Strange and other things. But at least he's a freaking American.
Right.
At least he doesn't hate the country. Communism is against everything this country is founded upon.
But you know
People
what?
People died fighting communism.
Fighting against communism. I remember when you were running for Congress, we met that one woman who was from, I think was she from Russia? And this is back then in 2010. She was talking about the dangers of this road America seemed to be taking and her concerns about it, because this is what she fled.
Yep.
And she saw similarities in what Obama said and things Obama did to the reasons that made her that made her flee her communistic country. I've never forgotten that woman.
I
met her in Kitsap County.
I remember. That's right.
Met her in Kitsap County, Washington.
That's right. Okay, so here you go. So this is from the Daily Caller, and I'm not reading. I'm editorializing this a little bit. But treasonous tranny Bradley Chelsea Manning, inspired communist West Point graduate to infiltrate the military. So here we go. Army Private Chelsea Manning, formerly Bradley Manning till she had the change, who
taxpayer
was sentenced to prison for leaking classified documents and subsequently freed by President Barack Obama. Wonder why that is. Inspired West Point graduate and communist Spencer Rapone to infiltrate the military. Rapone has come under fire and become the subject of an Army investigation after reports emerged of his open and unabashed support for communism and tweets he made calling for political violence and referring to Secretary of Defense James Mattis as an evil, vile effort. Let's see here. Here's one of the posts that Rapone wrote. I'm currently an infantry officer at Fort Drum, New York, assigned to the same brigade that she was enlisted in. Every single day I think of the contradiction of being a communist while in this organization, and her courage and tenacity gives me strength to continue the long march through the institutions. So these are the commie bastards infiltrating our government. And let me tell you, there are many, many more.
He should be kicked out of the military immediately if he enlisted.
He should be tried for treason immediately.
But the left will say, well, he has a right to those.
No, he doesn't.
I'm just
he
telling
took
you
an
what the left
oath to
would
defend
say.
the U.S. Constitution.
I'm just telling you what the idiots on the left would say.
So what the Long March is, it refers here to the institutional filtration and subversion coined by student activist Rudy Dutschke, but originally developed by Antonio Gramsci, a Marxist thinker whose thought developed in the wake of the failure of the economic determinism to bring about a revolution. In other words, a communist revolution. Because they can't tell you what they stand for and be honest about it.
I'll bet you anything this is a Bernie bro.
Oh, of course he's a Bernie bro.
This is a Bernie bro.
Of course he's a Bernie bro.
Hey, Bern, Bolshevik Bern, Bernie Sanders. Are you gonna own this dude as one of your brethren? Because he is. So
he said, I read Che Guevara's Warfare a month or two back. An essential text, although, as Che would say, specific to a certain historical context. I'd suggest Marighella, whatever that is, mini manual of the urban guerrilla. After finishing Che's work, I myself need to read Mao's on guerrilla warfare here soon enough. But I suppose more than anything else, the task at hand for all of us is to produce our own text on guerrilla warfare in the days ahead. Yes? That is absolutely stunning.
Unreal.
Unfreaking real. And, you know, there's a lot of talk about the deep state. You can bet there's a buttload of these communist traitors in our government right now.
Of course, many of them probably appointed or hired by Obama. I mean, after all, he hired Van Jones.
That Ryan Zinke,
who was an avowed communist.
Yes, that Ryan Zinke, the Secretary of the Interior this week, said that he believed 1/3 of the people in his department are not loyal to the American flag.
Clean freaking house. If you know who they are, fire them. They're not tenured, protected from dismissal.
But what they've tried to do with these what should be illegal government unions is make all these rules so you can't fire these communists that are infiltrating our government.
Right, it's ridiculous.
Because they can't make it on their own merits.
Right. Don't forget, I'm going to end on not quite a good note, but I'm going to read this, remember?
So we posted that story on the Politics Facebook page, and somebody on there wrote, I wonder if his parents are commies, if that's who brainwashed him. And no, that is not the case.
Really?
That is not the case. The father spoke out against his son.
Good for him.
Yes. And, he basically said, you can go to the Daily Caller and see it. Commie West Point grad's dad. This is bad. They're paraphrasing too. But here's what he said. In regards to my son, Spencer Rapone, I disavow his political views and overall politics. I am very disappointed in the direction he has chosen, and as his father, it greatly saddens me. As a young man, Spencer personified patriotism, and in high school was a member of the Civil Air Patrol. He applied to be a West Point cadet. Do you know how hard it is to get into West Point?
And you have to have to get into the military academies. You have to have a member. I don't know if it's a sitting member of Congress or a former congressman at least, but someone from Congress write a letter of recommendation for you.
Yes, and that former congressman, I don't remember his name. He disavowed this dude too. Later, he served as an Army Ranger and was deployed to Afghanistan on a special mission.
I wonder how many Americans he let die.
Right. He applied once again to West Point and was accepted. It's my belief when he returned back from Afghanistan, there was a notable difference in his political views. Somebody got to him. Spencer is my son and I love him dearly. However, I do not like nor condone his politics, his actions, or behavior.
Good for you, dude.
Man, how would you like to have a son like that? Absolute trash.
Horrible.
Okay. You wanted to end... What time are we at? Oh, we're about time to wrap up. You wanted to end... You've got a close friend who shall remain anonymous.
Yes, and...
Tell us what he does for a living.
Well, in the past, he's been in the military. He was in the military. He's got skills. I tell people all the time.
He's got skills.
He could kill you with one hand, probably. I mean, he's that good with his marksmanship and with his what's the word I'm looking for? It's not
martial arts.
With his martial arts and stuff.
I mean, he has been bodyguards.
Yeah, he's been a bodyguard
for like Dick Cheney, a vice president.
Yeah, I mean, for high-profile
and he
people,
supported our congressional campaign.
Yes, an executive bodyguard. I mean, he's just a great.
But we can't give you his real name, or
I won't tell
he
you
would
his
have
real
to
name
kill
or
you.
his location. But he posted this from a friend of his who is in the police, who's in a police department, and the friend of his is actually a woman. This is so true. I come from a family of many police officers. My two of my aunts.
Wait, how could that be? They're black.
Right?
What are they, racist? Uncle Toms?
Two of my aunts were police officers. One is now a police officer after she retired. She's a police officer at a school district. My brother-in-law is a police officer. I have many friends from high school who are first responders in some capacity, police or firefighters. So I get this, because I totally get this, even though I myself have never been an officer. She said, and think about Colin Kaepernick, his police are pigs socks, and the message being sent by these 250 plus NFL players when they disrespect the flag and everything it stands for.
And what about the cops being randomly shot in the head because they're cops, like the Dallas cops, who the Dallas Cowboys were not able to honor because they somehow don't have free speech.
Right. They don't have free speech, and that would have been too controversial.
Right.
She said,
God help us.
I am tired. My family is tired. My coworkers are tired. My profession is tired. For more years than I can count, we have been under attack, both figuratively and literally. We have been blamed for all the ills of society. I have been mocked, ridiculed, accused, and protested by strangers, celebrities, and elected officials for things I had nothing to do with. I am tired. I have had friends, people I've known all my life, try and convince me that I am racist due to my choice of profession, all because of something they read about happening somewhere else. I am tired. I have been told to, quote, see it from another perspective, all while those same people refuse to see it from mine. I've seen horrors that no one should have to, yet I'm offered no understanding or compassion from those I work for. I am tired. I have laid friends to rest while under this constant siege. I have cried on duty for the powerlessness I feel at times when I am unable to stop evil from happening, only to be blamed for the evil existing in the first place. I am tired. I will go to work today. I will continue to defend the defenseless. I will continue to stand up to bullies and criminals. I will continue to put myself between evil and those in need of protection. I will do this because I swore an oath to do so. Please just know that I am tired. I mean, and
how sad is that?
It's very sad. These men and women in blue, just like the military who put on that uniform every day, risk their lives.
And they're dodging bullets from these thugs.
For their communities.
There are 40 shot over the weekend in Chicago alone, which is the new Fallujah.
So some of them shot just for wearing a badge. Remember the police officer in Houston who was just filling his car with gas, and a guy just went up to him and shot him in the head, and continued to put bullets in him once he fell to the ground.
And don't you think for a minute that Barack Obama, Eric Holder, and Colin Kaepernick don't support that? They do. They support it. They don't speak out against it.
In fact, at the memorial for the officers in Dallas who were killed by a Black Lives Matter supporter at a Black Lives Matter anti-cop rally, that the cops were there offering protection for the people, Barack Obama actually stood at the memorial for these police officers and basically called them racist.
Yeah, don't you think for a minute they're not behind this, that they're not secretly supporting it? You bet they are. Okay, we're going to end with one more thing real quick here. So, it's unfortunate, but to make a statement to boycott the NFL, hashtag boycott NFL, hashtag turn off NFL, we as consumers have to throw the baby out with the bathwater, because they're not all America-hating communists in the NFL. John Elway, who is a general manager, also he was a Hall of Fame quarterback. I used to hate him because he was so dang good, and he would just destroy the Seahawks back in the day. But he wrote, I am one that believes in standing for the national anthem, and I've always believed that. I believe that this is the greatest country in the world. We are very fortunate to live here, but it's obviously not perfect. There are a lot of things that need to be corrected, and we will continue to work on those things. I'm one that really believes in standing for the flag. I understand the players and the way they felt from the comments that were made earlier in the week. They felt they had to go down and kneel, and that's up to them. Hopefully, as we go forward, we can start concentrating on football a little bit more. Take politics out of football. Freaking man. If you want to be in politics, get out of the NFL and run for office.
Right?
Go join the Communist Party and run for office.
Right, because the fact of the matter is, kneeling before your game during the national anthem isn't going to do or change a darn thing.
Except turn people off,
right,
which you have
succeeded. If that was your goal, you're succeeding.
Yeah, you're succeeding. And also, if your goal is to ruin your employer so that you no longer get paychecks, you are also succeeding. Okay. Are we ready to wrap up?
We are ready, babe.
We are ready to wrap up. Okay. God bless you guys. We really appreciate you tuning in to the BURKE Brigade.
Your conservative alternative?
No, brought to you by... That's right. We got another stuff written down. Brought to you by the Liberty Daily.
Your conservative alternative to the Drudge Report.
Go to thelibertydaily.com. Thelibertydaily.com for the stories that we just talked about. And more. Dozens and dozens more.
The news you need to hear to save this great republic of ours.
And if you thought the Tea Party movement was dead, I've got 3 words for you. Judge Roy Moore.
I thought you were going to say the BURKE Brigade.
Well also,
that too.
All right, we love you guys.
God bless you guys, and God bless America.
Amen.